New Jersey sounds to me like you grew up a bit from Slippery When Wet. Yes?
I agree. I think you're right.
How? Tell me how you've matured and how you've grown up in that period.
Well, we have 225 or so shows under our belts, 2 years. A lot of other outside projects that we've been involved in. So it's just practice makes perfect, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it was just, this is how we felt now. This was the songs that we wrote. It wasn't like, okay, we have to do this. We just wrote songs and whatever turned up, and it just happened that they were more grown up than the last album. But that's, Slippery was more grown up than Fahrenheit, and Fahrenheit was better than the first one, So I think that it's just the next logical step for us.
Was this easy to do? And you must have been enormously encouraged by the success of Slippery. So was it intimidating or was it incredibly encouraging?
Well, it is a double-edged sword. I think everything is. There's always black and white. And there's always love and hate. It's kind of a double-edged sword. So as much as we had Slippery in our tailwind, helping us along, there was also the thing that says in your mind, well, we got to do better, and it's a big pressure as much as it is a blessing, But we tried to not pay attention to that pressure and just write music, and the best music we could write, and take it one step at a time. And then the band, as John said, we had all those shows under our belt, so hopefully the band is going to be better, and we're going to be better, and the producers and everything with us are going to be better, and the whole ball of wax is just going to turn into something that's an evolution instead of a stagnant thing. Because I think if you think about it too much, then it remains on that one level. And the last thing we wanted to do here was put out Slippery Part 2.
But there are certain things that have remained constant, like, for instance, not having your picture on the thing, like going back to Vancouver and let's use the same producer. So certain things are constants.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Bruce is a great producer, and Bob is a great engineer and producer in his own right. So why not use the guys that did well for you last time, I mean, still use the same band because everybody's happy with each other's playing, there's no reason to change that. As far as putting our pictures and stuff on the cover, that's just something that we feel strongly against. So we tell the record company that we don't want to do it. They don't appreciate it, but they understand, And we let them put something on the inside and that kind of thing. And I think that they're comfortable with that.
Why? Because you think it was lucky the last time that you didn't want it? Why?
I just don't feel that we need to depend on pictures of a band or any of that kind of thing for the pin-up crowd or what have you, the flavor of the month be it. I think the English understand it more than the Americans do because the pop charts there change quite a bit, don't they? Where you can come in the charts at number 1, it's not a big deal, and the next week never be heard from again. Where you had like... so somebody as big as Boy George was, who just like came in, blew the world up, and then disappeared almost just as fast, I mean, so I'd rather be known because we wrote great songs. They're going to be here forever, My jeans aren't going to be here for 2 more years, I'm going to throw these jeans out and buy a new pair, That's that. I don't feel it's necessary.
Yeah, I agree. I think that our whole vibe is, like John says, is let the music do the talking. The videos and the magazines and all that kind of stuff, that'll take...
They'll overexpose you enough.
That'll take your pictures and put them in publications and, the video shows on TV, whether it be MTV or whatever it is all over the world, will exploit your looks enough. But when it comes into an album, you have to say to yourself, well, what are we trying to communicate here? What are we trying to sell? Certainly not our faces. We're trying to sell the songs and the music, and that's the important thing. And if you buy an album, I think that's what you buy it for. You certainly don't buy it for the pin-up on the cover.
Did you write an awful lot of songs for this one again?
An awful lot of songs. A god-awful lot of songs. 34, something like that?
Like that.
Some of that case. And then also, with Lay Your Hands on Me, we wrote that up in the studio. It was the only song that made the record that we wrote inside the studio.
So what is this New Jersey attitude? Tell me.
It's not necessarily the place, New Jersey. It's the same thing as I imagine Sheffield to be, or Liverpool to be, or Pittsburgh or Cleveland here in the States, for point of reference. It's a place where you're from, but it's an attitude that you carry around with you. It's a way to walk and talk and breathe and be. And if it entails that loyalty, or if it entails that, I think I said it best when in Stick to Your Guns. I said the words, when you spit, you better mean it. That's really what the attitude is. No matter what you do, you better not do it half-heartedly. You better give it all you got. And that seems to be a way of life around here, that I feel comfortable with.
Some of the New Jersey is now the hotbed of this other metal movement, the thrash, the Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer type of thing. And I would guess those crowds would think you'd be a bunch of wimps, wouldn't they?
Well, I mean, I should hope not, because I think that we are a very energetic and not, I don't know if heavy was the right word, but just we're a rock and roll band in our own right, you know what I mean? And I don't see any reason to ever put anybody down, or everybody just does what they do. We just kind of take a little longer look at our music, almost, than that. Almost, it's just like they play faster. It's stuff that they have. But that's an attitude that they have, and our attitude is New Jersey. So it's just different. It's not that it's any better, or they're any better than us, or we're any better than them. It's just that we just do our thing, and so whatever people think.
Lay Your Hands on Me sounds like the show opener again. Is it?
Possibly. It's a way to say that even after the success of Slippery, and say what you will about the band now, that we're still accessible. We're still very much the kids' band, and the way we always consider ourselves prior to this success.
You can hear it in the arena. You can hear that start, and them all up there joining in.
I hope so.
As you come on stage and the dry ice starts and the lights start.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that, but possible.
And you did who came up with that? Your love is like bad medicine's what I need, because that made me smile as soon as I heard it.
Richie's title was Bad Medicine. That was his. And we just sat down, we knew that was a great title, that was a song that we had to write. And it came together. The chorus came together that day, right?
Pretty easily. We were on the set of a commercial. Actually, we're doing a Japanese commercial, or a photo shoot or something or other, and we were just sitting around and just playing it around, and we were standing there while we were shooting, and it came up right there. Started jamming ideas back and forth together, and then at the end of it, we just shook each other's hand and said, "That's pretty cool," and that was.
That's what makes people smile. The people I've spoken to, that makes them smile. Like that couplet, that your bad medicine and bad medicine is what I need. Terrific. Good. Born to Me, My Baby. Like a lot of these songs, they're songs that are easy for people to identify with and feel an empathy with. Do you have that in your mind when you're writing? I think that's a great thing. If anything that we can be famous for at the end of the day, that's not a bad thing. I don't want it to be a politician in my songs, and I don't want to tell you how rotten the world is, but I can tell you what it's like to be Tommy and Gina, and living on a prayer, or what it's like to be born to be my baby, I was made to be your man, I mean, things that everybody in the world relates to. People, that don't read the papers, and there's enough of them out there, or don't care about Central America, or don't even know where it is. But everybody knows that they've got a husband and a wife, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And I mean, call it the most common denominator. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's not the point here. The point is that there's always people that care about each other, be it they friends or lovers, and that's important to us when we're writing songs. And the same with living in sin. Although that's a fairly old-fashioned expression these days, because I'm sure 50% of the world's living in sin.
I bet you they are. Excuse me. I bet you they are. But that's a real personal song to me as well, because it's probably the state of the union I'm in, and that's something real personal to me when I wrote it.
It doesn't say just that. It says, are we living in sin or are we living in love?
Yeah, or on love, so what's there to say that I have to sign a contract in a world so full of contracts, in my life, right? That I have to sign this piece of paper to say that I love somebody, it's a terrible wall to be put against, and it's scary to me.
Yeah.
You've signed a bad contract before.
Well, I signed enough bad contracts in my life, yeah.
One of the key songs, I think, in the whole thing is Blood on Blood.
Yeah.
And it's a song, to me, I heard it, I thought, this could have been on Darkness on the Edge of Town.
How about Born to Run?
Yeah, I thought Darkness more than Born to Run.
I'll take it. That's the other song that I'm real proud that I wrote. That and Wanted are my two favorites that we've ever had a chance to sit down and do. I think people are going to like Blood on Blood. And again, it's that attitude. Did you ever see the movie Stand By Me? Remember Stand By Me? I was watching that out here one day at Newport Beach. I'm sitting in my room watching this, and I said, man, I remember kids, that I used to hang around with, and how we were. And we were nuts, 13 years old, running around, leather jackets, a quart of beer, and doing drugs and getting in trouble. And Christ, I was 13 years old, And time changes people, and they moved away, and I moved away, and we all did our separate things. But when you see that movie, you remember when you were 13 again, and it really was the best time of your life. You were free, and you could do whatever you want, and you didn't think that the whole world was no bigger than your hometown, So it was a real moving movie to me. And I started writing that song, and I was calling it Stand By Me, as a working title. I called him up on the phone and started reading him the lyrics, and we were like, man, we got to use this. And then somehow I got Blood on Blood. When we got home, we went over to his house.
I love that title too, man. It flipped me out. I said, yeah, wow, what a strong picture.
And that was it. We took that idea and we brought it over to his house, and we wrote it really in like a day.
Do those characters exist?
Oh yeah, Danny and Bobby. Yeah, they both live out here somewhere. Yeah, I'm sure I'll find them now, because everybody keeps asking me about that. And one of them lives around this area, and one lives up in San Francisco. And Danny, I don't know what he does really, but Bobby is a lawyer. Last time I saw Danny, he was a little out there. So.
The song is an epic. I said Darkness on the Edge of Town, but it's not the normal 3.5 minute single.
Yeah.
It's maybe
long form.
It's the closest you've got to Jungle Land, maybe then.
Long form. We wanted to write long form. Anything from Roundabout to Jungle Land to, Let It Be. The longer form songs to me were great. I thought it was time for us to expand like that.
Yeah, and as long as those pictures are still painted that we were discussing before, like we were talking about in Wanted, as long as those pictures are painted still with the lyrical content, and you get the feeling at the end of a song. I think that when we're involved with arrangement of music or production of music, especially one of our own songs, that we look to find what happens at the end. How do you feel at the end of the song? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you go to a movie, and at the end of the movie, it's just taking you on this ride, this emotional roller coaster, up and down, all over the place, this and the other thing. But at the end of the tune, what do you feel like? How do you feel? What do you feel like in your heart? Do you feel like, wow, that was something that I really live by? Or Blood on Blood is something that we really live by. As it started out for Jon, like I said, in his younger years, but now Blood on Blood, I think, has turned into what we have as a band and what we have in New Jersey. And we're such good friends, and we hold on to each other and make sure, watch each other's back, and everything's okay. And it has to do a lot of the way we live.
Do you remember the first time you heard Jungle Land and what it did to you?
That album was real important to my growing up. The whole Born to Run record. I mean, I remember, trying to sing those, the high screaming at the end, and I'd be, as a kid. I mean, it was a real moving record to me. Yeah, I remember it. I remember it real well.
One of the most important records for you growing up, you reckon?
One of them. One of the top 10. I mean, probably top 5. Yeah.
What are the others? Some of the others?
Oh, probably Jailbreak, Thin Lizzy, Aerosmith, Dream On. That, like Alice Cooper, maybe Welcome to My Nightmare. And then probably one of the Jukes albums, Southside Johnny and the Jukes.
This time it's for real.
Yeah, maybe it was more like Hearts of Stone, because this time it's for real was a little weird. But
First record was great too.
first one was great. Hearts of Stone was brilliant. So those Jersey guys were important as well, but not the only thing.
Homebound Train, which I mean, is this your influence that is more towards the hard rocking side?
Absolutely.
That train, because it sounds like an ELP break in the middle there. It sounds like Dave's going. Keith Emerson.
Yeah, this is a little bit of my initiation in a heavy metal type of sound. I'm a big Led Zeppelin fan, always have been. Had the pleasure to meet Jimmy Page, and we're pretty good friends now, so that's really cool. And I got a chance to play a little slide on this record this time, and we're trying to expand. Homebound Train is a product of our expansion, I believe. With songs like Stick to Your Guns, I played mandolin. Johnny plays harp on this record a lot. We're trying to expand ourselves. This is a song that's probably, this and Lay Your Hands on Me is probably two of the heaviest songs that we've written. And keeping those guitars out in the forefront like that and all that kind of stuff is something that I like, being a guitar player, but it definitely had this the heavy metal side to it. And I had something to say about, hey man, when we're on the road and when you're on that homebound train, you want to go see your baby and get some candy.
Isn't Jimmy Page the nicest man? I went round his house and we sat there for 3 hours and talked to him, and we started, well, I was born, blah, 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 and we went through this whole 3-hour thing, and he's so nice. But he's not what I'd expected. Now he's off everything, and he's completely cleaned up his house.
Yes, it's Jimmy. Jimmy to me was one of the nicest men and people that I've met, and it was a real thrill to sit there with somebody that has been an idol of mine. And also, I told him, I said, Jimmy, you've been a friend to me throughout my life, and you don't even know it through your music. I have grown up with it and lived with it, and when I've gone on dates, it's been there with me. When I was depressed, it's been there with me. So, it's a really thing, and it comes out in my music every once in a while. Also, that's one of my influences, and that's the way it is.
As we were mentioning earlier, that there's this Zeppelin thing where people say heavy metal, and they were not anything like that, were they?
Oh, but they were the heaviest band on earth.
I
believe.
They
I
could
believe
be the heaviest
only
band.
because of the message that was sent in their music and all those things. You know what I'm saying? Those, even though it was very dark at points, Zeppelin had a very dark tinge to them at points, which made them very mysterious and very heavy. It matters what you consider heavy. I consider that to be probably one of the heaviest bands ever.
For the time, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, ever. I believe they started it. Almost.
Oh, sure.
I think they started heavy metal, Led Zeppelin. I think they really defined it in a way,
Wildest Wind. And there's a bit of Tramps Like Us in there as well. You don't say it, but I sort of detect that.
That song was just a product of 4 people sitting in a room together. And when you have all the songwriting talent that the 4 of us had in that room at that time, that was the product of it. I think it's a good song. I think people liked it. In fact, I know when I had the kids come in and listen to it, that was the 3rd song that they picked. But it's not particularly one of my favorites. I don't feel any great attraction to it. I like it, but I don't. I like it, but I don't love it. That's what it is. I like it, but I don't love it.
Because you did this the last time, and you did it again, where you bring the kids in. Do you actually go out and bring them in? You go down the local McDonald's and say, would you want to come and listen to the album and tell us what you think?
That's basically it. I mean, last time we went to a pizza parlor, yeah, I mean, we honestly did. From kids that hated us to kids that loved us. So we got a real unbiased opinion. This time, Fairburn called up his babysitters, the few that he knew, and told them to invite all their friends at such a date and time. And there was 50 kids in that studio. And they listened to everything. And we gave them all a piece of paper and a pen and told them to write it down, what they thought of it, and number it. And they did. Yeah. It works real well because, hey, ultimately, they're the ones that got to like the record. Record companies and, yourself and myself, we get records for free, So we're not going to, we just get a record and go, oh, that's good. These kids, that's a lot of money to them, It's their whole week's work to go out and buy a record. And they have to like it, And so that's who really
Matters.
Who matters. That's whose opinion I take serious.
You take that opinion as gospel when they've said it, even if you disagreed, like with a song like Wild is the Wind, and you didn't really want it on there. If they say so, then it goes on.
Yeah, that was on. So same with Stick to Your Guns. I wasn't going to use either one. And they're both on there.
God. So why did you do that little crackly little intro to Stick to Your Guns, the Ride 'em Cowboy with the needle going down on the 78?
To make the album more than a collection of songs, we wanted to do the African drum thing with the girls and Lay Your Hands on Me. We wanted to do Ride Cowboy Ride, which is just an intro to this song. Maybe it explains a little more to you. It almost dares you to say, so you want to be a cowboy? Well, check this out. Can you keep up? That kind of thing. So it introduces that song, tells you a little more about it, where it's not necessarily Wanted Part 2. It's a feeling of principles. It's your principles. And that one lyric that stands out to me so much is, when you spit, you better mean it, So principles are real important. There are things like Love for Sale, because we let you inside the room where we write our songs now. Now you see how it goes down and the way it goes down. And just to show you a little more of the personality of the band, short of being a concept album, this was as close as I could get for you, and pulling you in.
You used that cowboy analogy before, that you see yourself as a bunch of cowboys riding into town and do what you will, and you loot and pillage, and then you're off, and then you're off into the sunset. Do you still see yourselves as that, or have you grown up a bit and gone past that?
Well, I think that's still a major part of what we do. We're held up in this hotel. We're just like working here, but we leave here tomorrow to go to Dallas to some other hotel. We don't know where we're going to be, with 40 of our other partners in crime. The whole road crew's back together for the first time in a year. And then it's back to New York on Sunday or so. So you're never in a place long enough to make it your home. Even your home's not your home. I was there a week ago, and I've been living there 14 months, and I'm not done putting furniture in the forsaken thing.
Yeah, the home is the stage, man.
So
that's where it's at. And your home is the stage. I think we'll continue to be cowboys for as long as we live.
That song, Stick to Your Guns, is very much a principle, or a principle in your life, isn't it? To actually, especially when you talk to record companies, say if you take, for example, the sleeve and no picture, that's you. Did you have to take a lot of flack?
Somewhat, because that's going a couple years back though, because Polygram got a new president in '86, and then he brought in, let's call it, his entire cabinet of people. And I had to go and meet these folks for the first time, and they thought Fahrenheit was my first album. They didn't even know there was one before that, and I met them with Slippery, and they explained to me that the reason the Polygram had gone wrong in the past is because my face wasn't plastered on things, and I had to express to these guys what we were all about. So now they know it. They know not to even bother, because it's not that we're difficult, but it's that we are songwriters first, And that's really the most important thing to us, is not that you sell our records because, you know, we're this year's model. I don't want to hear that, because you can, you know, ultimately you can take all the money back if we could sell the arena out. That would be, you know, what I would say. And I remember I did this. I went through this, you know, and that was a case with me in Tokyo. So I have to know in my heart that we did it because we deserved to be there. You know, and that's real important to me. That's something that I pride myself on.
Didn't you want this album to be a double?
Yeah. You know, there was the attitude of putting out 2 albums, one now and one like in the spring, you know, and having 2 albums like within the course of a year, like the Beatles used to do. And we say, okay, they're all done. We just release it. And I was going to put Wild's Wind and Stick to Your Guns on the second album. And then a couple people said to me, look, you know, this is so regardless of what you sell, if you don't put out the very best album you could out of all the best songs on that album, and God forbid it doesn't do well, you're going to say to yourself, I failed. And I don't want to say that, you know. So you have to put up your best songs now and not save anything. And as far as a double album goes, Polygram wouldn't let me. You know, they were adamant. They says, no, we're not going to let you get paid for it. We're not going to stock them on the shelves. It's too much cost. And they were just real adamant. So I said, this is
the guys that
it.
played their Christmas bonuses last year and the year before.
Yeah. But they got to pay mine this year, you know.
You two are putting out a double. It's coming out next month, double album.
Yeah.
How do they get away with it? Island Records.
I don't know.
I'll be there for you. Does the band feel like that about each other, or do you feel like anybody else?
Well, it's your love life, you know. It's everyone's personal lives, because my feeling is that the girls that we've had have to understand first and foremost that they're a part of a team. They inherit the band, you know, when they get involved in this organization. If one of them was to come in and do the Yoko kind of trip, you know, and they say, well, she broke up the band, there wouldn't be like, you know, you see this girl sitting in rehearsal, the other 4 guys would beat her ass, you know. You know, there's none of that around here. Because
Could never happened.
you know, you see that, and the girl would just get her ass kicked out, and it's sort of like The Godfather, because the guy would have to understand, you know, the member of the band, because he'd be out of the band, it'd be all over, you're out, you know, if there was ever a question of that. So it's sort of like the mob. Once you're in, you ain't getting out, you know. It's the way it is around here.
That first line on that song is bugging me because it's something else. It's from somebody else's song, that just the first line, the melody. Has anybody else said this to you? You're smiling.
It's reminiscent of the Beatles we've heard.
Which song?
Don't bring me down.
Yeah.
That's it.
It seems to be it has the same vibe to it, and maybe rhythmic. The rhythm of the melody line has a bit to do with that verse in "Don't Bring Me Down."
Yeah.
But you weren't aware of that until it was pointed out?
Didn't think of it. You know, it wasn't a conscious thing, you know. Let's hope that Paul doesn't get mad, but it's only the sincerest form of flattery if it was a problem.
Yeah, basically, what it turned out to be was more or less like, if anything, it's just that something that happened because we just love the Beatles. You know?
I love 99 in the Shade, and I love this. I got a party in my pocket and I just got paid. I think that is great.
Thanks.
Where did that just spring out of the air?
Jeez, I guess it was, yeah.
Young John, that's Young John.
There was a Sam Cooke song, right? It wasn't Sam Cooke.
Another Saturday night.
Yeah,
I ain't
yeah,
got nobody, just got some money because I just got paid. Yeah.
Right. No, that's not what I'm talking. I mean, you know, that's what I was thinking of. You know, I'm in an awful way. Dun, 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 dun. You know, and I got a party in my pocket. Came up and I said, "This will cause some hell." And yeah, you know, I mean, it's. Take it again any way you want. Slippery When Wet could be a road sign, or it could be something nasty, you know what I mean? So it's, think of it however you want. It could be money, or
Could be firecracker.
it could be firecracker.
It's the best party song, weekend song that I've heard all year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fun. Beach stuff. The way I wanted to remember the Jersey Shore.
Absolutely.
And I also love for Sale because I was so taken aback by it when it came on for the first time. What is this?
Again, we wanted to show everybody a little more of the inside, let you see that the band, when we're all together, when it's the five of us, it's like the Three Stooges. I mean, it does get pretty funny. And to say, hey, come on inside, watch how we write a song, would be hard to do. But this way, it was a way to show everybody that the humor involved.
Yeah, that was a demo. That's from the demo sessions.
That is the demo.
That is the demo from, we did that in New Jersey, at Chalet Sound in New Jersey, like maybe about 10 minutes away from where I live, where we were recording. And it was one night, John and I just sat down and with a bottle of wine and the harmonica and just started to wail,
But I hear that and I think, I want to hear more like that.
In the future, maybe. There was a real spectrum of material recorded for this album. If we would have played you Let's Make It Baby or Diamond Ring or something, you'd go, wow, you guys are out there. We've got some material that'll probably make it to the next record, or at least like live bootlegged B-sides, because they're really different for us, real different. But it wasn't the time to put them out on this record, for continuity, because they're so left field.
In what way?
Sort of like Bon Jovi meets the Doors, or
Yeah.
Diamond Ring is so spiritual. You go, whoa.
We've explored different forms of music. Like, I'll Be There For You was an exploration for us on this record, I
with
believe.
the sitar, best we could
With all
do.
that stuff. Love for Sale. All these different configurations of instrumentation and styles and exploration, because we want to keep growing. So not only that we keep our enthusiasm within ourselves, so that the fans have something new to listen to open up areas that's refreshing. And so we have something refreshing to go and play for another 16 months, you know what I mean? So it's like, it has to be a growth period. I think that bands find themselves pigeonholing themselves a lot of times with their material. Like, they put out not the same album, but the same kind of record with the same kind of instrumentation and the same kind of, and they don't explore any new avenues. And then I think that after you do that 3 or 4 times, people are just going to start sleeping.
It's over, and I don't see that happening with us. You look at other people. I hate to point the finger, but like, say if you didn't know who Robert Palmer was, and like I like that new song. But if when you watch this video, it's the same exact girls, the same suit, the same song as Addicted to Love. You go, Christ, Robert, couldn't you write something better than this? I'm sure you could. And that's a bit of a bother to me, I'm disappointed by it. I'd rather see some growth in there, because people are going to get sick of you. There's a new kid in town,
Those bands that do stick to it and do parts 1, 2, 3, 4 and then fold up, they do it, I think, because they're frightened that their fans can't accept something else from them, and that their fans' expectations are of a certain thing, therefore we must deliver this certain thing, and we can't stray outside of that.
Right. Well, like what we did, I think, we established a medium of communication with Slippery and Wet. That was that record. Okay, and that obviously that got to a lot of people and made a lot of people happy. That the other thing. So we couldn't come across with this record and do something that was completely like, okay, we've been speaking English for so long, we're going to speak French now, and just all of a sudden, here we are, we're going to switch to another channel. You can't do that, but you have to evolve and take your music a little bit to the left, at least. You have to explore a little bit. You can't just stay stagnant, because it's no good for the band. As far as internally, it's no good for the band. People you get bored with each other playing the same music all the time. There's no exploration for you as an individual also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking, I was listening on the plane, that it sounds, and then I and then I heard it again, then I reconsidered, and I thought it's moved just enough without it sounding too calculated. I first thought this sounds a little calculated, but then I thought it's just moved just enough without being too radical to leave everybody standing there with their mouths open, thinking, "What the hell are they doing?"
Right. You can't do that yet because, not because you can't, but because a lot of people didn't catch on to us until the third album, you know? So if all of a sudden the fourth album is a different flavor, they don't know who you are yet, you know? I mean, maybe the guy that's been with us since Kerrang picked me up in '84, pardon me, maybe it's, you know, the kid that's been there since '84 with Kerrang, he's saying, all right, John, now give me the Doors routine, you know, do something like that. But it's... Get the phone, woman. Thank you. But it's the guy that just picked me up because of Top of the Pops that wants to see it again before I change it, you know? And I understand that, you know?
Yeah, it's what you want to do is artists like us are obviously, we pay attention to our fans and pay attention to their needs to a certain extent also. And I think that's right. If you're going to have a relationship or a friendship, which is a band and its audience is a friendship and a very big and a good relationship, you have to try to understand how to fulfill the fans' needs, just as you would like if you have a friend. If he needs you to do something and you're his friend, you'll do it. You know what I mean? Without compromising yourself past the point. You know what I mean? And there's people who, there's attitudes where it works for a lot of people not paying attention to that. But for our particular situation, being from New Jersey and being the friends that we are to each other, we know what works as far as that goes. So we do pay attention to what they have to say and who we're communicating to and what mediums of communications we do set up and have with them.
If you're going to make it to the level that this band has made it to, is there time for anything else, or is it going to be 100% commitment?
Well, it has been thus far. That's all that matters to us is that, you know. So your whole life has to be centered around this, sure.
Would you like, there must be times where you think to yourself, I would like to close the door on that for 6 months.
Well, I did that at the, you know, 3/4 of the way through the last tour, and by the end of the tour, that's all I wanted to do was not even consider playing again. But now that the album's out, I'm feeling that urge again, you know, and I didn't even want to think about the word touring. Jesus, I was sick of it, you know. But I'm starting to accept that now. I'm getting ready to go.
You're coming to London in December. How burnt into your brain is the memory of that first ever show you did at the Dominion? I was there and I felt for you.
I thought it was great because we pulled it off. I didn't panic. I picked up an acoustic and went for it. We could have died. We could have ruined our whole career right there, I thought. But it was just something in me that says, hey, grab the acoustic and go lighten the situation up. And I think we made the best of it after that, you know, because we were nervous, man. It wasn't going to be a great show. I could see that already. The first couple songs were shaky. Everybody was so scared. First show in London and all that kind of stuff. When that happened, I became, you know, completely comfortable. I became completely comfortable. Then I was in my element. Then I knew how to react and make it work. And I thought that was a real turning point in our career there.
It teaches you, if you can handle a situation like that and come out of it and get away with it, then God, you can handle anything.
I think so, because I've certainly seen enough assholes throw their microphones down and run off the stage yelling. You know, I've actually stood on the side of the stage and watched bands do it, and I says, dummies, all they have to do is, you know, is this, and they didn't know how to do it.
So are you now... Do you look forward to this at all, or is there an element of, oh, here we go again?
A little of both. I'm excited because I think that it's going to be a great year. I'm in hell because I think that it's going to be a long year. You know, our year is going to be 2 years. So it's a little of both.
You must, this time you learned lessons from the last tour, surely, that you're putting into practice this time. Like what?
We built our own stage this year. We're only going to do 2 on, 1 off, 2 on instead of 3, 1, 3. We're going to break the tour up with some breaks this time instead of 17 or whatever months straight. So it's going to be paced a lot better. The show is going to have some acoustic numbers in it where we're going to actually sit down and play and trade off licks and, you know, that kind of thing. So it's going to be a lot more controlled this time. Last time it was like mayhem, just blood, sweat, and tears for 2 hours.
We became so popular, so successful so quickly, I think. You know what I mean? So everything just kept on coming by. Wow. So quickly. And we didn't have a chance to catch up with ourselves in a lot of areas. You know what I'm saying? Especially maybe something like, it takes a while to build a stage and to put monitors in the proper place, and you know what I'm saying? And then once you kind of mess that up in the beginning, it's almost hard to come back and catch yourself. Yeah, so that's basically, now we know that we're starting out with the right equipment and we have controlled, more variable control. There's so many variables, lights and staging and people and trucks and buses and planes and wires and amplifiers and strings and monitors and everything. There's so many different variables that go down within each show that you're going to learn your lesson, and we certainly learned our lesson in 16 months.
Have you been to anyone else's show during this time and been impressed?
I liked the Def Leppard show when I saw it. I remember seeing that.
Peter Gabriel, I've always thought was state of the art.
See any of the Floyd tours?
No, I heard it was great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I heard it was phenomenal, man.
Mind-boggling. What do you think of Guns N' Roses?
Boy, oh boy, that question comes up every fucking day. Every day that question.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
I can't believe it. I'm starting to think. I'm starting to think that we're, they're part of our label or something.
I just think it's a natural thing to be curious, right? Because it is something, whether you recognize it or not, it is something you started.
I think, I hate to take credit for that. Again, I say it, but I love Guns N' Roses a lot. It's just funny that every interview I do, they want to know what I think of them. I think they're really good.
And Sweet Child of Mine is a great song.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Welcome to the Jungle is a great song. It's a great album. It's a great band. Enough about them already.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, God. Okay, let's wrap it up. Any messages for the fans? I mean, they'll be itching to see you in December. Any messages for the fans back home in England?
The last time we played Wembley, there was about 6 people there because we were opening for Kiss. This time, I hope that there's some people that come to see us, and if they do, I hope that they're as energetic as they were last time we were in England at Donington. And they've been there since the beginning with all the Kerrang following, and we appreciate that.
Absolutely. We can assure the English fans that we will be up for these shows. We really love London. London and all of England has a bit of Jersey in it. I seem to see that Jersey attitude a lot there in London, or I seem to see the London attitude a lot here in Jersey. So whatever it is, we're looking forward to coming there and playing. So,
Thank you both.
All right.
our pleasure, man.
Thank you.
Cheers.